Today, I thought we'd discuss the need to keep perceiving Jehovah's will, particularly when it comes to making decisions. And what motivated me to choose to discuss that is this first sentence in the comments for today. If we are to please Jehovah, we must hold firmly to his laws and principles, never adopting an unholy, compromising attitude toward them.
If you were to ask any one of Jehovah's Witnesses if their organization had any affiliation with the Catholic Church, they would certainly deny it, and promptly inform you of doctrinal errors made by the Vatican, at least as many as they can remember from the multitude of Watchtower articles on the issue. Sadly, though, the uneducated masses of witnesses were unaware that many of their doctrines are dictated to them by the Roman Catholic Church, more specifically, the Jesuit order. The first connection concerns the witnesses' most deeply guarded doctrine, the name Jehovah itself. The first recorded use of the form dates from the 13th century CE. Raymundus Martini, a Spanish monk of the Dominican order, used it in his book. Although this quote from Watchtower's own publications is readily available to witnesses, they are blind to its significance. Strangely enough, the Jesuit doctrines are the blueprint upon which was built the Watchtower Society.
We become shepherds who devour the sheep.
In a Watchtower article questioning the Jesuits' various educational institutions, it states, Jesuitical means craftiness and equivocation, a willingness to stoop to any means to realize one's goals.
I think, like the other Jesuits who were standing up here watching that smoke and then hearing his name, we were first of all just in a state of shock because there's never been a Jesuit Pope. What is the impact of having the first Jesuit Pope on the Society of Jesus? Anybody's guess. Now, in fact, since he is a Jesuit, what will his relationship with us be like? How will he make use of the society? It's anybody's guess. That will be his own pastoral determination, his own discernment.
C'è però anche chi dà vita a un mondo nuovo.
And also, I mean, let's be honest, I mean, since he is our fellow Jesuit, there'll be another level of fraternal care and affection and love from our side toward him, and I'm sure from his side toward us. From one point of view, it won't make any difference. We Jesuits understand and reaffirm that we are bound to the service of the Church through our connection and through our availability to the Holy Father, and that doesn't change. This Pope has our loyalty, our respect, our fidelity in the way that any other Pope would.
You'd expect the Pope to end up on the cover of Time as Person of the Year, but Rolling Stone, with the tagline, "The times they are changin'," he beheld his own image made out of chocolate by students at a chocolate-making academy. Good Lord, the Pope even accidentally dropped an F-bomb.
In questo caso,
I never ever thought I'd have to bleep the Pope.
We begin with news from the Vatican. The Vatican has announced that Pope Francis has chosen young people, faith and vocational discernment as the theme for the 15th General Assembly of the Synod of Bishops. The Synod, which will be held in October of 2018, will look at the best ways to accompany young people on their path toward maturity and providing a process of discernment so they may discover their life plan and fulfill it with joy, opening themselves to an encounter with God and with men and women, and actively participating in the building of the church and society.
The purpose is what the Roman Catholic system has all the time as her own purpose, is to infiltrate, to penetrate all the areas of life where the Roman Catholic can have control and access for the coming world government. What that means is, in preparation for that world government, the Roman Catholic institution, especially since the establishment of the Jesuit order in 1541, throughout all these 500 years, they've been in preparation and through infiltration and penetration of every level of society in order to take over the world politically and religiously.
Yes, it was in 1967 when a friend of mine came to me very excitedly. He told me that he was doing some colporteur work in Indiana, and while knocking on different doors to gain entrance, he was invited into a home very quickly, and he wondered how come he didn't have to use his door openers. When he went in, the fellow who had invited him into his home said, "I know who you people are." And he said, "Well, what do you mean?" He says, "Well, let me show you something here." And he moved aside a rug from his flooring there, and under that rug was a door. He lifted up the door, and here were stairs that went down into a basement. And he said, "I would like to show you something." So they went down into the basement, and this individual whose home he was in showed him just many files. And as he was looking at these files, he wondered what it meant. He says, "Well," he says, "we know who you are, and I would like to ask you a question. Name me a name of somebody who belongs to your church." And so he said, okay. He named him a name, one of his girlfriends. And this man went to a file, picked out that name, and said this person was baptized on such and such a date, a member of such and such a church, etc. And my friends said his eyes got very large, and he says, "Well, what does this mean? How come you have this information here?" And this fellow said, "Well, I belong to the Catholic Church. I belong to a special order, and we have all of you on files in different parts of the country. This is the file that we have on your members of your church here. We know who you are, and we have more complete records on you than I believe you people have for yourself." He said, "I just wanted you to see that so you would know that we know who you are." Well, my friend left that home. He didn't sell any books, but I think he became a more serious thinking individual after that.
In the January 15th, 1960 Watchtower, it says the Jesuits have been reported as saying, "Give me a child of 6, and I shall make it Catholic."
Well, a specific fear deals with one of my sisters who is disfellowshipped, and she had contacted me before my baptism and was encouraging me to keep in contact with her. And even though I do miss her and love her, I know that if I didn't maintain contact with her, it would be difficult to stop communicating with her if I started.
Does your church accept corporal punishment of children?
Our church accepts the family arrangement, and expects that parents have the responsibility to discipline and raise their children.
That doesn't answer my question. Do you accept corporal punishment?
In our literature, I think you'll see time and time again, we've endeavored to explain that here, discipline is referring to more a mental point of view.
I regret to tell you, you're still not answering my question. Do you accept corporal punishment?
No.
You don't?
Not personally, no. And not as an organization, we don't encourage it.
Despite Watchtower's abusive policies toward children, they developed a secretive school of their very own.
This missionary school was given the biblical name Gilead.
I was Brother North's secretary, and the governing body was the board of directors in those days. And the board of directors had the meeting, and they talked about the program of education that Brother Noah had in mind.
Confidential invitations to the first class were extended by letter to 100 full-time ministers.
And 3 of us got 3 long, beautiful envelopes from the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society. We immediately sat down and read our letters, and then we couldn't say another word to each other, because in the letter were instructions to discuss this invitation to this new school of Gilead only with Jehovah.
Please bring your birth certificate or equivalent with you. Do not plan on returning to your home after you complete the course, for no doubt you will go direct from Gilead to your new assignment.
All my clothes fit into an overnight bag, and I had a carton with all of Society's books from my library.
Well, we sold the car and the trailer, said goodbye to everybody because we never thought we'd get back to see them again.
I didn't know what to do. I was awe-stricken. I thought, how little I know. What am I going to do? But they didn't mind.
In fact, I'll tell you, Brother Friend used to call us his precious guinea pigs.
There was something to use.
In the Catholic publication, Our Best Kept Secret, it says the Church has the duty of scrutinizing the signs of the times. This statement, in effect, introduced a new method of doing theology.
Digging equals doing and applying.
It also states the Church was founded to establish on earth the kingdom of heaven.
And together with them, we eagerly look forward to the benefits of the new system.
Abbiamo tanto da fare e dobbiamo farlo insieme.
But now, while I've got you here, we're not going to let you go until we ask this big question. What are you working on now?
È come un lievito invisibile che fa crescere tutta la pasta, che dà sapore a tutta la vita.
It's a horrible reminder of Satan's rule.
Quando c'è il noi, comincia una rivoluzione.
The Pope's confessor, an ordinary priest, must be a Jesuit. He must visit the Vatican once a week at a fixed time, and he alone may absolve the Pope of his sins.
Putting aside all private judgment, we should always be ready to accept this principle. I will believe that the white I see is black if the hierarchical church so defines it.
In this quote from the founder of the Jesuit order, he expresses the level of dedication required by the Roman Catholic Church. Throughout history, various influential people have been inspired to incorporate his doctrines into their own organizations. For example,
Adolf Hitler.
I have learnt most of all from the Jesuit order. So far, there has been nothing more imposing on earth than the hierarchical organization of the Catholic Church. A good part of that organization I have transported direct to my own party. The Catholic Church must be held up as an example. I will tell you a secret. I am founding an order. In Himmler, I see our Ignatius de Loyola.
Walter Friedrich Schellenberg, 1910 to 1952, German SS Brigadier Führer, who rose through the ranks of the SS to become the head of foreign intelligence. The SS had been organized by Himmler according to the principles of the Jesuit order. The rules of service and spiritual exercises prescribed by Ignatius de Loyola constituted a model which Himmler strove carefully to copy. Absolute obedience was the supreme rule. Every order had to be executed without comment.
If Heinrich Himmler had gotten his way, Eastern Europe would have converted to a different religion. Jehovah's Witnesses.
The Nazis slaughtered tens of thousands of Jehovah's Witnesses in concentration camps. But for all he'd murdered them en masse, Himmler had a strange respect for the religion. If their fanaticism could be harnessed for Germany, he once said, we would be stronger than we are today. In Himmler's eyes, Jehovah's Witnesses had the perfect combination of fanatical work ethic and pacifism that would keep them working hard and stop them from violently resisting the fascist regime.
He even gave specific orders to one of his officers, Dr. Ernst Kaltenbrunner, to push the religion on Eastern Europe. That would have been the strange reality of life under a global Nazi regime.
There would have been slavery, genocide, and weapons of mass destruction, but there also would have been a whole lot of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Now that's worth repeating.
Would have been a whole lot of Jehovah's Witnesses.
Adolf Hitler, der Führer der deutschen Jugend, hat das Wort. Meine deutsche Jugend, wir wollen ein Volk sein. Und ihr, meine Jugend, sollt dieses Volk nun werden. Wir wollen einst keine Klassen und Stände mehr sehen. Und ihr dürft sie in euch schon nicht mehr groß werden lassen. Wir wollen einst ein Reich sehen. Und ihr müsst euch schon dafür erziehen. Wir wollen, dass dieses Volk einst gehorsam ist. Und ihr müsst euch in dem Gehorsam üben. Sondern dass es hart sein kann. Und ihr müsst euch in der Jugend dafür stehlen. Ihr müsst lernen, Entbehrungen auf euch zu nehmen, ohne jemals zusammenzubrechen. Und in eurem jungen Gehirn brennt derselbe Geist, der uns beherrscht. Und wenn von uns nichts mehr übrig sein wird, dann werdet ihr die Fahne, die wir einst aus dem Nichts hochgezogen haben, in euren Fäusten halten müssen.
Now, let's get down to talking about the church, the Roman Church.
Actually, we were granted, I was granted that authority, that power, to exercise that authority, that power. That when any individual, whether he is a child, whether he is a woman, whether he is an elder man, whether he is a boy, whether he is a girl, whether he is a king or a queen, regardless of who the person is, when that person, that city, that nation, this country oppose to the goals of the Roman Catholic institution and interfere with, that already call for disaster.
Well, the scarlet-colored beast is all the political powers that are going to pull together to destroy the commandments of God. The woman riding on that beast is Roman Catholicism and fundamental Christianity.
We see it today as really being in a crisis like it's seldom have ever seen in its history, probably since the time of the Reformation.
And in Great Controversy, page 55, Ellen White tells us that the wilderness is a symbol that represents obscurity and seclusion.
Then the news media start dealing, the film industry start dealing with priests, they were unfaithful priests, cardinals, they were unfaithful cardinals, bishops, they were unfaithful bishops. As a matter of fact, even Jesuits within the Jesuit order were sent out immediately to answer to these very issues, to answer in their way. What that means is they went saying from every direction, yes, we recognize there are priests involved with the mafia, there are even bishops. We recognize there are priests that they have broken their celibates and they have committed a fornication and they're still committing fornication. We recognize it, but you see, the church is another matter. The idea always was to tell the Catholic people, tell the Christian world, yes, these things happen, but this is isolated. This is one priest, a bishop, a cardinal, someone that was unfaithful. But this is not the religion. This is not the system. This is not our belief. This is not our life. This is not our conduct. That is what they pretend to do.
This pedophile priest scandal shows no signs of going away. Seems to be getting worse, both in developing nations and in the USA and in Europe. The Roman Church is hemorrhaging members like never before. Churches are closing in America. I mean, right now, in the town that I live in, Dubuque, Iowa, at least 2 parochial schools have had to close, partly because of lack of interest, partly because of the huge financial hits that these various dioceses have had to take paying off these priest pedophile lawsuits. They can't afford to keep them open. Donations are dropping like an elevator in many parts of the country and the world. And the other problem is that whatever force of moral persuasion the church may have had is rapidly becoming a joke. Because the people say, well, you know, what right do you have to sit there as an ecclesiastical institution and tell me how to live my life when you can't even run your own organization, when you've got priests, you know, messing around with little kids and some of the other stuff that's going on.
It's time to evolve ideas. That's where we're at, and we can do it. I know we can do it because I've done it. It's happened in my life. My life's changed a lot. We can do it, man. That's why, you know, this whole thing about the Branch Davidian, the whole lie about, well, we broke down the compound because we heard child abuse was going on. You know, well, why aren't there Bradley tanks knocking down Catholic churches if that's the case, you know? If child abuse is in fact your concern is what my point is, and
Could the Watchtower Society soon be assimilated into the Roman Catholic Church under the direct control of the Jesuit order to stave off political, religious, and financial ruin?